for all that we hear from Republicans who fearmonger about big government and how we need to ensure that we don't have a tyrannical government, consider the fact that recently Attorney General William Barr made it very clear that he's very much against our own democratic process, our democracy, and in favor of fascism. I know I sound like I'm being hyperbolic, but how about you watch this video and judge for yourselves?
Putting a national lockdown, stay-at-home orders is like house arrest. It's other than slavery, which was a different kind of restraint, this is the greatest intrusion on civil liberties in American history.
So what William Barr says in that video, of course, it has to do with the coronavirus lockdowns, which, by the way, we did not have a federal quarantine. We didn't have a federal lockdown. That never happened. But what he's doing there is planting the seed of, no, your freedoms are being violated if you don't practice social distancing, if you decide to follow the social distancing guidelines. What's happening is you're being wronged. Your government is failing you, right? Now, in other ways, which you're about to see in the next videos, he's very much in favor of jailing his political opponents. He's in favor of that type of big government. But when it comes to a collective effort that's clearly necessary at a time of a pandemic during this crisis, he says, no. Don't follow those social distancing guidelines. Don't self-quarantine. Don't do any of that because it's a violation of your civil liberties. It's absolutely ridiculous. And don't think I forgot the fact that he compared it to slavery. He compared that to slavery. So Cenk, I'll let you take the commentary on that part.
Yeah, so again, there are two different things here. First of all, he made a very similar analogy about comparing it to slavery as you heard with your own ears there. But it's not close. I mean, do we have to explain why it's not close? The whippings, the killings, the enslavement, using people as property, the rape, the lynchings. We really have to explain that that is not that close to wearing a mask so you don't get other people sick. Okay, so the right wing just can't help themselves. They're just, you guys get it, right? That's not anywhere near reality. But that's the amazing part. I say that because 42% of the country doesn't get it. They're like, I'm being whipped so that the skin comes off your back and then having your kids separated from you and sent to somewhere else to be somebody's private property and wearing a mask. 40% of the country can't tell the difference. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. So when they hear Bill Barr saying that, they're like, oh yeah, man, that's so true. I feel enslaved. And so now the second part of it is, so number one is slavery apparently by a little bit, and then number two in terms of taking away civil liberties is wearing masks voluntarily, okay, and saying, hey, you know what? Some indoor places are not going to be allowed to open because they spread disease like wildfire, right? But internment camps for the Japanese is that number three? Jim Crow that basically reinstituted terrorism and oppression against millions of African Americans. Is that number four? Is it number three? I mean, I can go on and on and on. But other than being offensive to human beings, it's offensive to the truth to say something so preposterous.
I mean, I actually think that William Barr's sincere beliefs are that these social distancing guidelines and lockdowns and all of that, that's worse than slavery. Yeah, I mean, think about what Donald Trump did today, which hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about. It's a late breaking story. Donald Trump signed an executive order that would essentially stop our public schools from teaching about slavery and instead teach about American patriotism. That's not an accident. They don't really want to talk about this country's history. They don't want to talk about our dark past with racism, our current, racial tensions in the country. They want to deny it. I don't think that he's ever taken slavery seriously. I think if you were to ask him to answer that question sincerely, he would think that asking businesses to close or asking Americans to wear masks is worse than slavery. This is the type of person we're dealing with here. And unfortunately, in order for someone to be as I guess callous as William Barr is, as powerful as William Barr is, he needs bootlickers. Bootlickers like the Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows. Watch.
Yeah. Last night said that lockdowns instituted by governors across the country is the worst violation of civil liberties in history, except for slavery. Do you feel that?
Well, when we look at lockdowns, when you look at individual liberties and who we are as a nation of freedom, many times when we give up those civil liberties, and I'm one that believe in those civil liberties are inherent, they're enshrined by our Constitution, and that we need to protect those, because when bad things happen, we sometimes, not always, but sometimes start to take away the liberties that are enshrined and are part of our constitutional rights and make us different as Americans than many other countries.
The worst in history, Japanese internment camps.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the quote. Obviously, we've had a number of times where civil liberties have been trampled on, and certainly when we start to look down at forced confinement, those are tough. To compare them with the Japanese internment camp, I don't know that he made that analogy. I certainly would. I get it. I didn't see the quote.
So again, asking people to wear masks to stop the spread of a lethal virus, that's apparently a violation of civil liberties. But sending federal agents to cities across the country to basically snatch up protesters and put them in unmarked vehicles, those aren't violations of civil liberties. And later on, by the way, we will get to some of the statements that Barr made that make it very clear that he loves big government, and he certainly loves trampling on people's constitutional rights.
Yeah, so I think that first of all, you make a good point on how they probably think it's worse than slavery. Why? Because they're conservatives, and if it doesn't affect them personally, they don't care about it at all. So they're like, slavery didn't affect me, so to me it's a big fat zero. Don't care about it at all. Don't think it was bad because it didn't bother me 1%. And so, but wearing a mask is a little annoying. So yeah, that's worse. It is for Bill Barr. And so now the second part of that, Anna, is there's a reason why we're the worst in the world. Think about it, we're the worst, worse than any third world country you can think of in number of cases and number of deaths, okay? Because we didn't even do the bare minimum. Every other world leader, every single one of them said wear a mask. Trump and Barr and all these guys, it's not wearing a mask is like slavery. Let's all be stupid and just not wear masks and spread it around to everyone. Yeah, we got the worst deaths of any country in the world. I wonder how that happened. It happened because of that, you epically incompetent morons.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.